So, what if I told you that one of reality TV's most beloved couples has not only called it quits, but one half literally packed up and moved across the country? I'm talking about a relationship that lasted 8 whole years, complete with engagement rings and wedding plans. But wait, there's so much more to this story than meets the eye. We're talking about secrets, disagreements over million-dollar dream homes, family feuds that tore apart one of TV's longest-running reality shows, and a woman who finally said, "Enough is enough," planning your future. And everyone thinks you're living the perfect life. But behind closed doors, things are falling apart piece by piece. That's exactly what happened to Little People, Big World stars Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler. Here's where it gets interesting, and trust me, you're going to want to sit down for this. Matt, who's 63, announced their breakup back in July. 8 years together, gone. Just like that. He tried to spin it as this amicable, mutual decision. You know, the usual "we remain friends" type of statement that celebrities always give when they want to keep things civilized in the media. But here's the thing, and this is where my investigative journalist side kicks in. Sources are saying that the split actually happened way earlier than July. We're talking about a month before Matt even made it public. Can you imagine keeping something like that quiet for an entire month? The pressure, the pretending, the awkwardness of it all. And Caryn? Oh, honey, she was 58 and apparently just completely done with not being heard in her own relationship. Ladies, we've all been there, haven't we? When you're in a partnership but feel like your voice doesn't matter, that's exhausting. And honestly, good for her for recognizing that she deserved better. But wait, it gets even more dramatic. While Matt was busy making public statements about their amicable split, Caryn was already making moves, literally. She packed up her entire life and headed to Arizona. Not just a temporary vacation, we're talking about a full-scale relocation with her daughter Brittany. Now, here's what's really interesting about the Arizona move, and tell me what you think about this in the comments below. Matt actually owned property there already. They used to spend time together in Arizona, probably thinking they'd eventually retire there together. But instead of staying in Oregon near the farm that meant everything to Matt, Caryn chose Arizona to be closer to her own family, specifically her parents. Can we talk about how symbolic that is? She literally chose her original family over the life she'd built with Matt. That speaks volumes about where her heart was in those final months. Her daughter Brittany made the move too, which shows this wasn't just some impulsive decision. This was a calculated, well-thought-out fresh start. Her son Connor stayed in Oregon, which adds another layer of complexity to this whole situation. Imagine being a parent and having to make these kinds of decisions that split up your own children geographically. That couldn't have been easy for Caryn. And get this, Caryn bought her own house in Surprise, Arizona. Meanwhile, that property Matt had purchased, it's already on the market. Talk about closing chapters and moving on. The symbolism is almost too obvious, right? But here's where this story takes a turn that honestly made my jaw drop when I first read about it. Remember I mentioned disagreements? Well, apparently one of their biggest fights was over Matt's decision to build a $1.4 million dream house on Roloff Farms. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. $1.4 million. For a house on property he already owned. Caryn apparently thought this was completely unnecessary and wanted to focus on their Arizona plans instead. But Matt? He went ahead and built it anyway. Now, I want you to really think about what that means. Your partner tells you they think something is unnecessary. They have other ideas for your future together, and you just Ignore them completely? Spend over $1 million on something they don't even want? That's not just about the money. That's about respect, communication, and partnership. Matt spent months working on these plans, posting updates on Instagram like everything was fine. Can you imagine Caryn seeing those posts, knowing she'd expressed her concerns, and watching him just steamroll ahead with his vision? That had to hurt on so many levels. The house is actually pretty incredible from what we've seen. It's specifically designed for someone with dwarfism, lower countertops, specially sized appliances, everything customized perfectly. The exterior has brick and aluminum siding, large windows, and it was clearly a labor of love for Matt. The interior features beautiful hardwood floors, a stone fireplace, wood beam ceilings, and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the property. But here's the thing that really gets me emotional about this whole situation. Matt built this house because Caryn didn't want to live in the main farmhouse, the one where Matt had lived with his ex-wife Amy and their 4 children. That house was full of memories from his previous marriage, previous life, previous family dynamic. Caryn actually spoke about this on the show, and her words were so telling. She said it would be emotionally difficult to have Thanksgiving there because the kids would come in with that baggage of Amy cooking in there, and now she'd be trying to take over that space. She called it unfair and said the house should go to a family with kids. So Matt, trying to solve this problem and give them a fresh start, built them a completely new house. A house with no history, no baggage, no memories of anyone else. But by the time it was finished last year, their relationship was already crumbling. Now Matt's living in that $1 million dream house all alone, while Caryn is nearly 1,000 miles away in Arizona. The irony is almost too much to handle, isn't it? If you're enjoying this deep dive into reality TV drama, definitely smash that like button and let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. Do you think Matt should have listened to Caryn's concerns about the house? Or was he right to try to create something new for them? But this story gets even more complicated when you consider the broader family dynamics at play. The entire Roloff family has been dealing with some serious rifts, and I think these relationship issues might be connected to everything else falling apart. Matt's son Zach and daughter-in-law Tori actually moved to Washington and confirmed they wouldn't be returning to the show. This stems from a long-running feud about the sale of Roloff Farms. Zach wanted to buy part of the farm to keep it in the family, but Matt decided against making that deal. That decision completely broke down their father-son relationship. Can you imagine being in Caryn's position during all of this? Not only is she dealing with feeling unheard in her own relationship, but she's also watching Matt make decisions that are tearing apart his relationships with his own children. That had to be incredibly stressful and probably influenced her decision to step back from the whole situation. Matt and Amy's other children, Jeremy, Molly, and Jacob, along with their spouses, had already stopped appearing on recent seasons of the show. So essentially, the family that made Little People, Big World such a success was completely fractured. And speaking of the show, here's another bombshell. TLC actually canceled Little People, Big World after 25 seasons. 25 seasons, you guys? That's longer than most marriages last these days. And it came to an end right around the same time all these personal relationships were falling apart. The timing can't be coincidental. When the family dynamics that made the show compelling were gone, there wasn't really a show left to film. It's actually kind of heartbreaking when you think about it. This family built their entire public identity around being close-knit and working through their differences, but ultimately couldn't make it work behind the scenes. For Caryn, this move to Arizona represents something we should all aspire to: the courage to choose yourself when a situation isn't serving you anymore. She's 58 years old, and instead of settling for a relationship where she felt unheard, she chose to start over. That takes incredible strength. She's now closer to her parents, which suggests she's prioritizing family relationships that are supportive and nurturing. Her daughter Brittany made the move with her, which shows she has a strong support system for this new chapter. The source who spoke about the situation said Caryn is really looking forward to a new chapter and always wanted to retire in Arizona, while Matt was more interested in being on the farm. This tells us they had fundamentally different visions for their future. For Matt, he's now 63 years old, living alone in a house he built, hoping to save his relationship. He's dealing with estranged relationships with some of his children and the end of the TV show that made his family famous. That's a lot of loss to process all at once. But here's what I find fascinating about this whole situation, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. Sometimes relationships end, not because of dramatic betrayals or huge fights, but because of a series of small moments where partners don't truly see or hear each other. The house situation is such a perfect metaphor for this dynamic. Matt saw a problem, Caryn being uncomfortable in the main house, and he solved it in his own way, spending $1.4 million on a solution. But Caryn had a different solution, moving to Arizona, being closer to her family, starting fresh in a place they both loved. Instead of finding a compromise or truly exploring her perspective, Matt went with his plan. And now he's sitting in that beautiful, empty house while she's living her preferred life in Arizona. What do you think about this whole situation? Are you Team Caryn for choosing herself and starting over? Do you think Matt should have listened to her concerns about the house and considered the Arizona plan more seriously? I'm genuinely curious about your perspectives on this, so definitely drop your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever been in a relationship where you felt like your voice wasn't being heard? How did you handle it? And while you're thinking about that, make sure you subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, because we dive deep into celebrity and reality TV drama every single week. We don't just read the headlines, we analyze what's really going on behind the scenes. Also, hit that notification bell so you never miss when I drop a new video. Trust me, the entertainment world is constantly serving up drama, and I'm here for all of it. So that's the tea on Matt Roloff and Caryn Chandler's dramatic split and her cross-country move to Arizona. What started as what seemed like an amicable breakup has revealed itself to be a much more complex story about communication, respect, and having the courage to choose yourself when a relationship isn't serving you anymore. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed this deep dive. Subscribe for more celebrity and reality TV analysis, and I'll see you in the next one where we'll probably be dissecting some other dramatic celebrity situation. Because let's be honest, the entertainment world never stops delivering the drama. Until next time, keep living your best lives and never be afraid to choose yourself when you need to. Love you all.